What's going on, people? Thor Diakow here with another edition of This Week on Blu-ray, DVD, and on demand. And we start with perhaps one of the worst films of 2016. Yes, we're talking Suicide Squad. This was a disaster from start to finish, but you can get the extended cut on Blu-ray to see if they can make some sense of this muddled mess. So the extended edition has extra footage, 13 more minutes, not previously seen in theaters, but honestly, that still didn't save it. This is basically about a team of the most dangerous incarcerated supervillains who are provided with a powerful arsenal at the government's disposal. They are sent off on a mission to defeat an enigmatic, insupportable, I should say, entity, and they're basically the Expendables with a superhero twist. But you know what? There were so many plot lines and so many characters that got left by the wayside here. I couldn't make sense of any of it, and it felt like a glorified music video. And honestly, the Joker, I mean, he's such a great character, but I thought it was a disservice to the fans to just sort of shoehorn him into this story. He's basically forgotten throughout much of the movie. I mean, I liked what Jared Leto did with the character, but he was barely in the film. And a lot of questions about Harley Quinn and how over-sexualized she was. I don't know. There were some interesting storyline tangents that could have worked on their own as one movie, but it was just a muddled mess all put together. Some great bonus features on the Blu-ray, though, that did show you about all the trials and tribulations of making the film. Some interesting stuff there, but again, the 13 minutes of extra footage not seen in theaters could not save this one for me. Let's move on. There was a lot of trepidation about Bridget Jones's Baby because we hadn't seen Bridget on the big screen in a long time. However, I'm happy to report this was a delightful comedy. So basically, Colin Firth and Renee Zellweger are back. Patrick Dempsey leading the way. Hugh Grant is out of this one. So this is the next installment. 40-something and single after breaking up with Mr. Darcy, Bridget decides to focus on her job, surrounding herself with old friends. But then love takes a turn. She meets a dashing American named Jack, played by Dempsey, McDreamy, of course. And then she's got a bun in the oven. But the big question is Mr. Darcy the father or is Jack the father? Because Mr. Darcy and her, they have a little bit of a tryst, and it's unclear about the father of the baby. So a lot of great gags ensue. You know what? I thought Zellweger stepped effortlessly back into this role. It has some great, well-timed, not only physical humor, but witty stuff that was a great commentary on British society, social media, and broadcasting in the UK. And yes, Emma Thompson is a scene stealer. Not a big role, but she is absolute comic dynamite in this movie. So you know what? I thought for all the controversy, well, not so much controversy, but I think just sort of the eye rolling that people went through about another Bridget Jones movie, I thought it was quite funny and made up for that disastrous sequel. So there you go. That gets my seal of approval. The old Bridget Jones's Baby. Funny stuff there. All right, let's move on now. Yes, an epic set in ancient times, Ben-Hur, the story of Judah Ben-Hur, a prince falsely accused of treason by his adopted brother. You've got Jack Houston, Toby Kebbell, and a host of other greats. Unfortunately, this one maybe should have been left alone, and it doesn't really hold a candle to the Charlton Heston version, namely because it's got a lot of crowded, cluttered CGI, not a lot of heart to it. It just felt like a very paint-by-numbers sort of remake, and the focus of the Jesus aspect of the story really towards the last third of the movie completely took over. I mean, I know that's an element in the original Ben-Hur, but it really seemed to overshadow everything else by the end of this movie, and that, I think, is partly to do with co-producer Mark Burnett, who does a lot of religious-based films and TV shows, and I just felt like the message you see with Rodrigo Santoro there playing Jesus, it really kind of took over from the Ben-Hur story, more so than the original. I don't know, it was kind of forgettable in my mind. There are some interesting bonus features, though, that gave you some insight into the production. And the acting is great, but the script is just brutal. I mean, I really like Jack Houston and Toby Kebbell, but this was kind of forgettable. All right, let's talk sci-fi now, and the thriller Morgan is out on Blu-ray and DVD, and this is Kate Mara, Paul Giamatti, Toby Jones, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Rose Leslie, but mainly Anya Taylor-Joy is the focus here, and she basically plays the next step in evolution. She's sort of a, not a robot, but a artificially created human being. So she's sort of between an alien and a robot. Yeah, things go awry in this little underground top secret bunker when a group of scientists working on this experiment, leading the way into the next steps of human evolution, suddenly things go awry. This movie was really wacky. It sort of turned into Jason Bourne at times and had one too many twists after a while. I mean, it just like one of them you saw coming a mile away. The other one was so ludicrous and preposterous you couldn't possibly see it coming. They did drop some hints, though, after having seen this a second time. I don't know, it's got a great cast. It's got some decent B-movie thrills as well, but will not be a fondly or classic remembered genre addition to science fiction. It really was reminiscent as well of Ex Machina from last year, so it felt like it was really trying to mimic a lot of the stuff that made that movie so effective. However, this might be good for some small screen viewing. Other than that, though, didn't really do it for me. I do enjoy Anya Taylor-Joy, though. She was great in this and The Witch, which also came out earlier this year, kind of an indie horror flick. Moving along to the comedy realm, Brother Nature. This is admittedly very silly and dumb. However, it coasts nicely on the charms of its cast. And there's an SNL connection here, of course. It's produced by Lorne Michaels and stars Taran Killam and Bobby Moynihan of SNL fame. You've also got Rita Wilson and Bill Pullman in this one. A straight-laced politician played by Killam has big plans to propose to his dream girl at a lake house, but things go downhill fast when he meets his potential brother-in-law, played by Moynihan there, a full-time camp counselor with a heart of gold and a wild sense of fun. If you remember The Great Outdoors with Dan Aykroyd and John Candy, a lot of the gags in this one are kind of reminiscent of that one. And as I say, it's very silly and very lowbrow, but these guys are so funny together. They actually had some great chemistry, and the cast is totally on board. So I wouldn't have gone to pay for this in the theaters. However, home viewing, it's kind of perfect for that type of situation. And we'll leave you with this, people. Gorgeous animation. The Legend of Korra, the complete series, is out on Blu-ray now. This is the Nickelodeon show that followed the events of Avatar, The Last Airbender. So the next Avatar, a waterbender from the southern tribe named Korra, journeys to Republic City to master airbending and make a name for herself, stopping the rising threat of a group of revolutionaries known as the Equalists. Man, I tell you, this is unparalleled animation when it comes to television shows, and this isn't just for kids. There are some really mature themes, adult storylines, and the rendering, the visuals created are absolutely gorgeous. So I really like that this didn't pander to the lowest common denominator. There are some really interesting things going on with this series. You can get the full one on Blu-ray, and as you can see here, it looks absolutely pristine. So crisp. Get the entire package right now, Blu-ray and DVD. The Blu-ray is available, by the way, for a limited time only. Good stuff there. Love that Legend of Korra. All right, people, that's it. A busy week on This Week on Blu-ray, DVD, and On Demand. I am Thor Diakow. Don't forget, you can check me out on Twitter @ThorDiakow, also on Instagram, and we'll see you next week on BreakfastTelevision.ca.